Yes, it's Monday and it's time to talk about ghosts with Kevin Eustace. Hi, I hope you're all okay this week. I hope it's going fine for you. I really hope so, but we're only a few hours in. And if it's not, don't worry. In the words of D. Ream, featuring Brian Cox on piano, things can only get better. I do hope you're all fantastically well, though, and I mean it, unlike all other podcasters who say it, I have it on very good authority, they don't mean it as much as me. Truth, fact, word, life, and other things. Anyway, what have we got in store for today? Says me, travelling to, I don't know, somewhere in the northwest. Put wood in Thal. Anyway, we got all the usual mayhem. Mayhem! Oh, look at me, quirky sod. We've got all the usual stuff. So, firstly, I'm going to say a big thank you to our Patreons via the medium of song. Then I'm going to do paranormal review, where I, Kevin, review something paranormal so that you don't have to review it for yourself. Then normally, we would listen to one of your true paranormal experiences. We have a slight issue with that in the fact that no one sent any in. That was on purpose, that silence. So, guys, do us a favour, write down a scary story, send it in. Because one thing I won't do, I'll tell you right now, is, scour the internet and find them yourselves. No, seriously, though, if you've got a scary story and it happened to you genuinely, then send it across. And I'd love to read it. What we're going to do next week is a little bit of a special. Sorry, I've just kicked some. A little bit of a special. If he agrees now, it's up in the air whether he will, and we'll find out, no doubt, next week, obviously. But tomorrow I'm going to see my dad, and I'm going to take the handheld, and I'm going to get his opinion on ghosts, see if he's got any ghost stories to tell, which may go in there. I'm not sure whether it'd replace Bekahs Reddit Corner or whether it would be, it would replace the part that we don't have this week, thanks to no one sending in any ghost stories. Contact at Talk About Ghosts, by the way. That's the email address. But yeah, so we might have me dad on next week. That'd be good, wouldn't it? Get his take on it. Might have a good chat with him, and we'll put that out. But thankfully, and this is coincidentally, the Bekahs Reddit Corner for today runs 20 minutes. So, we shouldn't miss it that much. The fact that we don't have a ghost story and a ghost podcast, well, we do, but it's from Reddit. You know what I mean? But before we do all that, of course, we need to say a big thank you to anyone who's signed up over at Patreon. When you sign up at Patreon, not only do you support this little ramshackle operation, you also get your name sung out by little old me as a thank you. Yes, hi, and my guitar, which is here. There you go, that was proof. Although it's dead funny because I'm in an actual office environment. Where you work, if you work in an office, imagine if the room next door, some random, I say goth because I wear black, but someone who fancied themselves as a goth anyway, turned up with a guitar and started belting out people's name via song once every Monday. Wouldn't you be a bit like, the fucking hell's going on? This place is going to pot. Anyway, so not only, you basically get two shows. You get me rambling, as I clearly like to do, and then on a Sunday, we talk about paranormal stuff if we can. And this week, I think me and Becca done an all right job of staying on track. We talked about ghosts of Christmas. Yes, because it's that time of year, isn't it? Everything's Christmassy. People walking out of stores with due care and attention, or without due care and attention, staring at the phones, walking on. When people walk out and they just stop, and when you're like, oh, sorry, this earth that God built clearly just for you. You seem to be, am I in your way? Should I not have just been traveling through this completely people-free zone until you stepped out staring at your phone and decided everyone should walk around you? There should be. No. Can I say that? Yeah, in fact, fuck it. I am saying it. There should be people on high vises who I will hire. And they will have little red stickers books on them. And they will go around. And when they see one of these inconsiderate knobheads who just walk out of a shop during Christmas, staring at the sky like they've been dropped off by a spaceship, and everyone has to change their course of direction to move around these inconsiderate arseholes. And you can tell who they are. They're normally the ones who are like, Raphael! She's called the kids after the turtles, obviously. And, the kids are running riot, but it's everyone else's fault. One of these sorts of people, stick a red sticker on them, and then at the end of the day, a van goes round, collects them all, and moves them all to I keep saying the Isle of Man, but I like the Isle of Man now. Somewhere uninhabited, and let them just start life on there, together, get in each other's way, and see whose fault it is then. Anyway, rant over. So, a big thank you to everyone who signed up over at Patreon. So you need to go over to patreon.com/we need to talk about ghosts. And when you do, I will sing your name as a bit of a thank you, just like I'm about to do for the following people. The guitar is well and truly out, and people in neighbouring offices will be like, what the fucking hell is that? I'll tell you what it is. It's a thank you song for Paula Hall and Ashley Harding, and it goes like this. Ooh. Everybody, Paula Hall and Ashley Harding, send up to Patreon. Ooh. Yeah. There's loads of content over there, and they're helping keep the show lights on. I'm not joking, there's about maybe 300 hours. I'm not even messing. The best part is when me and Becca think we've found a cat. But we haven't found a cat. It was actually going home. But it didn't stop at that. Becca made me stand outside its house and act real weird till the person come out. And I had to say, is that your cat? And she looked at me like I had 10 heads and said, yes, it's my cat. Why the fuck are you outside of my house? Ooh. So if you'd like to join Patreon, head over to patreon.com/we need to talk about ghosts. Now let's have a paranormal review, shall we? Yes, it's that time in proceedings where I, Kev, like to, tell you about something I've watched so that you don't have to watch it yourself, review it for yourself, and decide to rewatch it, because then they would pick you up in a white van. Anywho, for avid Patreon listeners and listeners who may have heard it anyway, you will be aware I made a mistake in that song. It wasn't a cat we thought we found. It was a dog. Yeah, we followed a dog all the way back to its house. And Becca was like, no, there's no way dog's just out without a lead. And I was like, listen, I've got 10 years on you. This was the thing. People used to just let the dogs out. They'd go to work and say, bye. And the dog would be like, see you later. And it'd just get off. We had one in our street called Kipper. Kipper was lovely, unless you got near it, in which case it would bite you. And its owners would say, you shouldn't have got close. And your dad would say, you shouldn't have got close. Things have changed. Anyway, that's not paranormal. What is paranormal is the thing I've been watching on Netflix. And it's only a 4-parter. Right. It's called The Mysteries of Faith. Now, to me, a Roman Catholic, or should I say at least one, I was baptized Roman Catholic. I don't do anything mad like go to church, but it's dead interesting. So the 4 episodes it covers are the Crown of Thorns, yes, the Holy Grail, the Holy Cross of Brazil, and the Saint Next Door. But it's really good because it's one of these programs where it tries to stay balanced. Do you know, like in terms of, is it a mystery? Is it a miracle? Is it just bollocks? One of the things it kind of alludes to, but it doesn't really nail home, which it should, is the amount of relics that are out there. So if you put together every like there's cathedrals out there who claim to have a part of the original cross, right? Now, if you put together all those little pieces of wood, you could build Notre Dame Cathedral. So they can't all be legit. Do you know what I mean? And it's like the episode about the crown of thorns. It's intertwined with diamonds and stuff. And it's like, I fell in a thorn bush once and I didn't come out smelling of diamonds. Not the diamond smell, but you know what I mean? So, but at the same time, it's fascinating. It's fascinating to see the level of belief people have, not in England, because England seems to be a very atheist country at the moment. Do you know what? Funny enough, I had this conversation with my dad. He was telling me about a priest that used to serve in our parish when I was an altar boy. He was only covering. And basically, he'd been done for child molesting. I know quell surprise. And I said I couldn't remember him. And my dad said, no, do you remember he used to squeeze your hands so tightly you'd have to stand on your tiptoes through the pain? And I was like, oh, that's the man. That man's been done for abusing children. Oh, how surprising. But then that got us onto saying that, like, my dad was like, no, like every church. So within our parish, our larger parish, we had St. Aidan's, St. Aloysius, St. Agnes. I don't know why we were all A's. And I think St. Columba's was on the outskirts. Anyway. And my dad said every one of those churches in the 80s had about 4 or 5 priests per church because it was that busy every Sunday. There'd be a mass at 9, a mass at 10, and a mass at 11. There'd be a mass on a Saturday night for those who couldn't make the mass on the Sunday. And I used to serve Saturday nights because I'd want my Sunday to myself. But it's so, the attendance or the congregation is so down now that they've closed St. Aidan's. It's amalgamated with St. Aloysius, and it's got one priest. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there who go, good. I mean, and don't get me wrong, I'm literally telling you a story about a Catholic priest who's been done for molesting a child. So I'm not saying, that it's a good thing. But what I will say is there is good and bad in everyone, as Sir Paul McCartney once sung. Or was it Michael Jackson? I can't remember. One of the two. It was ebony and ivory anyway. But my point being is that my experience of the Catholic Church has been good. I've been fortunate. I appreciate that. And I appreciate there's been a lot more who've been horrifically treated. But it's very interesting how the attendance seems wrong to say. It sounds like a Mick Jagger concert. Not the Rolling Stones, Mick Jagger, solo tour. How attendance dwindles. And I said to my dad, I wonder if it's war. Do you know what I mean? Because apparently spiritualism boomed after and during the Second World War because people obviously wanted to know about their loved ones. They wanted to know about the afterlife. They wanted to pray for the safety of their relatives at war. And it was a Helen Duncan who was done as witchcraft because was it Helen Duncan? I might be wrong here. But there was somebody who apparently somebody asked, like, how's our Henry getting on? And this medium goes, like, to a group of people, oh, he was on a secret mission in France and the boat blew up. And, like, MI5 heard about this and went, this was secret. How the fucking hell does she know? Burn her! Anyway, so, yeah, I do wonder if we had, like, a big, massive world war, whether religion would spike again. I don't know. It's a theory. But my point being, anyway, this program, Mysteries of Faith, is well worth a watch, even if you're not religious, because it at least gives you an insight into the mind of those who are. And I think learning is something we should all strive to continue doing. So my review for this, interestingly, now I'm God-fearing here because I'm a Catholic. And I do fear God, it turns out. Not constantly, but I've realised that if I say something or do something, says me, I swear like a mother freaker on this. But, if I do something and I'm like, God wouldn't like that, I'll look up and go, sorry. You know what I mean? So the Catholic in me saying, stick your 2 arms out, put 2 thumbs up and say it's good. But in reality, it's 1.5 thumbs down. So, but not as in facing down. The thumbs are up, but the arms are down. is what I'm saying. So it's still worth a watch. But in fact, from a human, a human person, as opposed to those human tortoises you see everywhere, like Raphael, the naughty child. From a human perspective and watching how people interact with their faith, it's 2 thumbs out, and go and give it a watch. It reminds me though, speaking about miracles and faith and stuff like that, I'm definitely going to hell for this one thing, right? Definitely going to hell. We went to, it wasn't Rome. Where was it? I think it was Sicily. And Sicily's Roman Catholic as you get. Do you know what I mean? It really is. I think arguably more Roman Catholic than the Vatican, Sicily. Anyway, we were in a little market just outside one of their wonderful cathedrals. They all look like cathedrals. It probably wasn't a cathedral. It was like a square with about 5 churches in, and there was a market outside. Anywho, I love antiques and anything like that, and I was looking. There was this wonderful little crucifix, and I was like, "That's interesting. Looks really old." And the fellow was away somewhere, and there was a screw at the bottom of it. And I was like, why's it got a screw? And he undone part of this screw, and I was messing around with it and tinkering. And next thing, the crucifix opens in half, right? And there is a small fragment of paper inside with a red dot on it, right? And I'm like, the fucking hell's that? Then came along gust of wind. And Bobby Wind blew that piece of paper out into the ether. And I was like, oh, shit. Fold Jesus back in half again, screw him together, place him back, walk away like nothing's happened. Anyway, a quick little Google search. Turns out these things, there's a name for them, which evade my mind right now. But anyway, inside of them is meant to be a freaking relic. So it's meant to be a Bible parchment, right? With saints' blood on it. Now, this thing clearly hadn't been opened in, I don't know, about 80 years. So I've probably, somewhere in Sicily, floating through the air right now, is the blood of Saint Anthony. And I say that because he's the patron saint of lost things. But yeah, it did make me think, that's not good. That's definitely going to be on St. Peter's list when you get to the gate. It'll be like, and St. Anthony said you disposed of some of his blood in a rather obscure manner. And I'll be like, hold on. At the same time, God's in charge of the weather, so you know. And then you'll be like, oh, and you're blaming God. Good. Well, just take the escalator down, please. Anyway, what we're going to have now is, of course, Bekahs Reddit Corner. It's a long one, thankfully, because we don't have any ghost stories to tell, but we do on Reddit. So let's go over there right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, now it is time for Paranormal Reddit Corner with Bekah.
Hello, you wonderful people, and here we are in the, of course, beautiful, beautiful, and deadly and dark chamber, which is owned by none and other than...
me.
Bekah.
Hello.
Hooray. Bekah's back from Jeddah.
I'm back.
But did you have a good trip?
Yeah, it was good, thank you.
You went on a yacht, didn't you?
I did. A luxury yacht. It was
a luxury yacht?
Very lovely.
Look at you living the life.
I know.
Meanwhile, me and the kitten were just, living off scraps, starting fires in the living room, trying to stay warm.
I doubt that.
Holding each other for heat.
Well, at least shot each other.
Well, like sister and brother, we ran to each other. You know, it's a weird song, that, isn't it? Like sister and brother, we run to each other. We don't want all the world to know we are really lovers.
What? Are they the lyrics?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like sister and brother,
I
we'll wave. Oh, is it wave to each other? Wave's much better than run.
But why wouldn't you want the world to know that you wave to each other?
I don't know. I mean, it must be an affair song. It's got to be. Because why wouldn't they want anyone to know the lovers? Unless they are sister and brother.
Oh, maybe they act like the sister and brother because they don't want anyone to know that they're actually having an affair. So it's like we run to each other like sister and brother. We wave to each other. We don't want anyone to know that we're actually lovers.
It may be. I mean, you know what? I mean, I'm sorry, this is very out. This is not relevant. But I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to Google, during Bekahs Reddit Corner, the lyrics to like sister and brother. Just so we can... I need to know this now. It's one of those things.
We need to, forgive the pun, put it to bed.
Yes. like sister. It's come up like sister and brother meaning.
Perfect. Sounds like that's exactly what you want to do.
Like sister and brother lyrics. It's such a small town girl. News travels faster than a sigh. I could sing this to you because another song.
I'd rather you didn't.
Okay. News travels faster than a sigh. Everybody wants to know about the next man's secret. Every time we meet up on the street, we've got to keep it. We've got to keep it. Like sister and brother, we'll wave to each other. We don't want all the world to know we are really lovers. So we'll talk about the weather till we're alone together. Then all the world will fade and die. And baby, there is only you and I. Sometimes it's hard to hide pent-up emotions we both feel. I want to tell the world I love you, but I dare not say it until he let you go. Ooh. There's only one way we can play it. We can play it, in brackets, like sister and brother, etc. And then repeat to fade. So it was an affair.
So it's an affair. So they're not actually sister and brother. They just wave to each other nice and lightly, as if they're sister and brother, nothing more.
Yeah.
I don't want the world to know.
But then as soon as the back's turned... You know what is a weird thing is that, like, I've heard recently of about, like, 4... None of this is paranormal, sorry, guys. We will get there. About 4 or 5, like, relationships where the woman's cheated on the man. You know, she's been found out to be having an affair. And the man's been, like, devastated, obviously. And I can't fathom that. I can't picture you having an affair. But then I think that's exactly what they must have thought.
You can say that about anyone who's has an affair ever.
Yeah, I know, yeah, but it was a weird sort of, because it was a guy that I know. It was, well, when I say it's a guy I know, it's one of my dad's mates, really good mates, came to see him because obviously he's unwell, and he found out about it and he hasn't seen him in a while. Really good mates. No, but they used to work together. So anyway,
do I know him?
You've met him when you were riding the bull.
What on earth?
Remember that day when we went on a wine tasting and we got absolutely fucked, and then we ended up in that pub with the bull ride machine at like 4 in the afternoon.
I don't think I rode the bull.
And you sung Babushka.
I remember singing Babushka. I don't think I rode the bull.
Well, anyway, on karaoke to like 4 people. He turned up in the night.
So
nice
unsurprisingly, I do not remember him.
Unsurprisingly, you don't remember him, but he's a very nice guy.
Oh dear.
He lives on your dad's road.
There's
that guy. Anyway, before we do last week's and give out somebody's details,
full name, address, and marital status.
Yeah, one of our patrons actually got in touch and said, "I'm sure you've given your full address out in one of your previous Patreons."
Kevin.
And no, they're talking like in the history of the show, not as in like in recent.
Nonetheless, it's still out there. Why do you think that would be any
allegedly
better?
So. And she was like, I'm not saying this to be a weird stalkerish person. I'm just saying you maybe also want to think about it.
No, I'm glad you brought it to our attention. Could you let us know which episode, if possible, so Kev can go back and get rid of it? Because that's absolutely unacceptable. Thank you for contacting us.
If it's over 18 months ago, it'll be the old address anyway. And
but what if it's not over 18? What if it's 12 months ago?
Well, then we'll put the kettle on. And like sister and brother.
You need to have more nous for safety.
I need to have many things, Becca. Nous for safety is the lowest of what I need.
It absolutely is not. Me and the kitten live here.
Anyway, this is your Reddit story that I am passing over to you. Obviously, I've not read it.
Of course, because why would you?
Yeah, so the grammar might be shite. Okay. But so might the grandpa.
Okay, well, this is actually tagged personal encounter.
Ooh,
okay.
Betty.
So, what?
It's from Some Mothers Do Have.
I know what it's from.
Oh, no, wait, that's Kenneth Williams. Oh, Betty, what have I done? Frank Spencer. Sorry.
How is any of this relevant?
None of it is.
Right,
but, you know,
okay.
It's Scam Kev. What can I do?
Well, over to me now.
Yes.
Welcome to Reddit Corner with Becca.
Thank you.
The title of this story is Things Are Moving. I'm hearing my children call me when no one's there. What do I do? Let's begin.
Let's begin.
So last night, my husband had to go to the hospital with our youngest, 6 months old. She is okay, but they didn't get home until 4 a.m, meaning I was home alone with 3 other kids. So this is kind of a lengthy thing.
It's not.
Oh. Okay. So it started when I went to the thermostat to turn the heat off. It was around 9 p.m. I go to turn it off and I hear, "Mum, over my shoulder. Thinking it's my kids awake, I spin round and shout, "What?" And my stomach clenches as I realise no one's there.
Dun, dun, dun.
Our cat began staring at the bathroom. So I brush it off, turn on the AC, check on the kids. They are sound asleep. Drooling, snoring, I know them. I go to my bedroom at the back of the house. All the cats, 3 of them, go to my bed. That sounds such fun.
It does, yeah.
I crawl in and I'm still dicking around on my phone when I hear from the living room a crash of plastic on the terrazzo floor. I jump...
Terrazzo floor?
Yeah, TERRAZZO.
Oh, I wanted to see what one... Not now, but, we'll find out.
I jump and listen to what sounds like plastic dragging across the floor, then barefoot steps smacking quickly across the living room.
Fuck that.
So I think it's my kids. I jump out of bed and rush out and shout, "What are you doing?" and see the remote across the otherwise neat living room and no one else.
Dun, dun, dun. That's terrifying.
I'm now spooked. I think someone is in my house, as I would.
Yeah.
So I do a sweep, as my dad calls it. I click on every light, I open every door, every closet, everything is on. My kids stare, but are sleeping, so I shut their lights off and the house is clear. No one in it. Hella confused, but still thinking about potential murderers, I go to the bathroom in my room, back of the house, and text my family. I tell them how silly I am and how weird that was. My heart rate calms, and I start checking for updates from my husband. Suddenly, in the doorway to the bathroom, with the door open, I hear in my daughter's tiny voice, "Mummy?" And I stop. My stomach dropped. My blood felt like ice. Just this horrible dread feeling washed over me as I looked up, expecting someone, knowing somehow it's no one. I panicked, called my dad. He calls the police and heads over to my place. Police find nothing. Dad finds nothing but stays with me until husband comes home. Do I sage? Do I call a priest? Do I ignore? I've seen shadows since we started renting this place in the corner of my eye, but I've always had weird things happen I ignore. What do you recommend, Reddit? And then the TLDR is woman hearing voices of her kids calling for her when no one's there, and objects moving in the house.
There's 2 things I like about that story. I mean, it is terrifying. And it's a well-known thing. We touched on it in an episode. I don't know whether it was Dark Paranormal or Wintag, about often when there's mimicry of voices, it's demonic activity. Because it's easy for the demon to get you to do what it wants you to do or to be where it wants you to be. For example, if I'm upstairs and I, Kev, can you come in the kitchen a sec? Or you've got to sit and squeal, which makes me run.
How often do you hear this squeal?
Maybe twice every 2 months. Once a month.
What? No, you don't.
Well, all right. Once every 2 months, there's a certain noise. It's the noise that when I run and go, "What's going on?" You go, "Stop shouting at me!" immediately. And I go, "I'm not. I'm shouting because I'm worried because you've just made that noise."
Right.
So that noise. But my point is, if I heard that noise and ran downstairs and you went there, the argument is it's a demon it's a malevolent entity at least who's learned to mimic. Mimics are kind of like they're coming into vogue.
Mimics are the new thing on the block.
Yeah, well, you know what? It sounds stupid to say, but yeah, it's like they're not necessarily replacing the Hat Man, but they're definitely vying for position.
Right, and the Slender Man's just totally over.
Slender Man didn't even exist. He was a meme, got out of hand. Could be a tulpa now, like.
Could be a tulpa.
But the 2 things that did jump out that made me laugh. One is I done, as my dad calls it, a sweep of the house. How often, as a dad, had to go and do this in every room and say, "I'm just going to do a sweep of the house"?
I expect the dad of a family with children would frequently do a sweep of the house. Okay,
the second part that makes me laugh. The police arrived and searched the property and found nothing. Then my dad did. He also found nothing. So the dad's watched the police.
No, the dad does it first and then the police, because the dad gets there first. No. So the dad rings the police and then goes over to hers straight away.
Yeah, and then read that again.
Okay, I panicked, called my dad. He calls the police and heads over to my place. Police find nothing. Dad finds nothing, but stays with me until husband comes home.
Yeah, the police find nothing. Then dad finds nothing. So the police go, "We fully checked everywhere, sir. There's no one here. Thanks, guys. Thanks, officers. See you later." Don't believe them. Where's me torch?
Yeah, but you can see how, if your adult daughter was scared, you can see how you'd be like, right, I'm just going to... Because you'd be thinking, no one will thoroughly check this more than I.
Yes, and to be honest, that's one of the many reasons I don't want children, because if we had a daughter, I'd be in jail within the first year. Genuinely. Because someone would accidentally knock a pram and I'd be like, garroting them. I would. And I'd be like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. She's crying because you've knocked into the pram. Therefore, you've upset her. Therefore, you die.
Now you gonna die.
Now you gonna die. I mean, obviously, if it was a boy, I'd just have it on a lead behind me, dragging it through the mud. But anyway, enough of my psychological dilemmas. Are there any comments to this?
Yeah, there are a few, yeah. The first comment, well, the top comment, is, so some of it might be a version of phantom cries. You know when you finally get the baby to sleep, take a shower, and you swear you can hear a baby crying, but your baby is asleep? So you're really stressed out with a child in the hospital and a new baby. Look up phantom crying. As far as things move in, I don't know, but I know I've put things in really strange places when I'm sleep deprived, stressed out, and get interrupted when I'm doing something. This is just absolute bollocks rationalisation. Hearing things crashing in the middle of the night that no one else hears is also a thing. Exploding head syndrome. I have it. I've had it since I was a kid and didn't know what it was, if it was paranormal or I was losing my mind. I always associated it as a harbinger of bad things. It's worse when I'm under intense stress. Interestingly, someone else says, I have exploding head syndrome, and it's crazy how real it sounds. So someone else has asked what it is, and interestingly, a Wikipedia answer bot has popped up. Yeah. Very conveniently. AI. Yeah, and says, exploding head syndrome, EHS, is an abnormal sensory perception during sleep in which a person experiences auditory hallucinations that are loud and of short duration when falling asleep or waking up. The noise may be frightening, typically occurs only occasionally, and is not a serious health concern. Well, if that's the case, I've got EHS because there've been many a time I've woken up to a sound and I've kind of debated, was that my dream, was that reality, but I've checked. Well, maybe you have. But my point is as well, the search crying babies. No, there's a difference between thinking like you're hearing a crying baby and hearing someone say, "Mommy." You know, that's not crying baby. Yeah, but people think people think they can hear their own crying baby. Yeah, I understand that, but I mean, she's saying Google crying baby, but no, she's not. She's saying Google phantom cries. Yeah, but cries aren't words, are they? The cries like. Someone says there's nothing like the laughter of a child unless it's 3 a.m. and your children are soundly asleep. Yeah. Someone else says you should see a doctor before calling a priest. With a 6-month-old baby, you're still in the midst of the postpartum period. Postpartum anxiety, depression, and psychosis is very real and can manifest in subtle, weird ways. I would also move when possible. Take care. Is that what they for? Yeah. Make your fucking mind up. It's like rational, demon. Oh, someone else says exactly this. I had auditory and visual hallucinations during my PPA. People saying my name, loud crashes, and dark, shadowy movements. Please go see a doctor. Oh, that's very interesting. Yeah. PPA being postpartum something. Postpartum anxiety? Oh, yeah, okay. Someone else has said 100% need to check for carbon monoxide before you go ghost hunting. Yeah, well, that's yeah. I was going to say it's a known fact, but then thought if somebody said, come check out my haunted house, you know, I'd be guaranteeing I'm taking a crystal ball, a Ouija board, a pendulum. I wouldn't be taking a carbon monoxide meter, which I should. Well, you absolutely should, yeah. Someone else has said, I work with psychic. Just ignore it when they are not. Did you not work with English teacher? No, with when they're not bothering you. If it disrupts your life, you need to deal with it. And someone else has said, for your own safety, ignore them. Don't feed the spirits with fear, because that is how they gain power. Take care. Funny enough, we spoke about that over dinner last night with your mum. About feeding power. Basically the principle was, I was in an email debate with someone where they were saying, why, I'll use the Amityville house, but it's not really haunted anyway, but you know what I mean. Why are the stories where somebody can live in an alleged haunted house and have all this shite going on, they leave immediately, somebody moves in and says, it's not haunted. And then they leave 5 years later and somebody else moves in and they're like, how could you have lived here? It's terribly haunted. And I think that there are some sort of sentient entities which say like seep out of the wall when a new tenant moves in
and they'll do something like knock over a bottle and see how they react. And that's what I was saying to you, is that your reaction will be very rational. You'd be like, earth tremor, and then the door would close, and you'd be like, wind. And eventually the spirit would get bored and be like, there's no point, I'm just going to go back in the wall until a believer turns up. Then I'd turn up 5 years later to move in, and they'd knock over the bottle, and I'd go, fucking hell, what's that? And they'd be like, oh, okay, now it's time to come out of retirement.
Showtime.
Yeah, exactly. I do believe that. And the example I gave, a real world example, is when, and we've all done this, when you look up in
This is my corner.
Yeah, I'm sorry. When you look up in the sky and you focus on one star, all of the others around it come into view.
How's that relevant?
Because it's about paying attention. So when you pay something attention...
Paying you attention, hopefully you shut up.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, it is your corner, I apologise. Sorry.
So there's some interesting comments here that I think you'll want to hear, if you pipe down.
Oh, go on then.
Someone said... well, finally, a bit of common sense, I think. Someone said, my daughter used to call out to me in her sleep when she was little. It always freaked me out. Any chance she does is talking in her sleep, which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Someone else said, this is quite a big comment, said, just how things started here when we moved in. I would see movement from the corner of my eye, but would look and nothing. I mentioned it to my husband one evening, and he said he sees it too. Things escalated after that. Loud bangs on the bedroom wall adjacent to another unit's bedroom wall, but no one had moved in there yet, and no other units attached to us. Always bang, 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 so loud and forceful it would shake the light we have over the bed and wake us up.
Wow.
We can see the kitchen from our bedroom, and we were laying in bed watching TV one night. We have cathedral ceilings, and we watched a bright white orb move across the ceiling. No explanation, we had no lights on, and our blackout blinds drawn. Later that night, around 3 a.m, our living room smoke alarm started blaring for no reason. Our microwave would go off randomly. One picture on the wall would be crooked every morning. And so many times, either one of us would be in the shower and think the other came in, as it would sound like the door sliding open. And you'd even see a shadow through the curtain, but nope, no one there.
No way.
One night I was on my phone on the couch and my husband had gone to bed. I started drifting off and felt my husband pull a blanket up over me. I opened my eyes to acknowledge him. No one there and no blanket. I sat up and my husband was still fast asleep in bed. It felt as clear as day. And it's weird, as many times I've thought I heard my husband up and about if I'm out early in the morning. Like I hear him getting a coffee and even hear him cough. But when I go in, he's still asleep in bed. We started blessing and praying over our home and just ignore anything that seems strange. And it's actually been pretty quiet here since.
Fair enough. Well, I think on that bombshell, I mean, we're nearly 20 minutes into this Reddit Corner.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a big one. It's a big one, like the nun said. Anyway. Thank you, Becca, for allowing us into your corner, as
You're
ever.
Welcome.
We're about to record a Patreon, this week's Patreon. Well, it's funny because the way we record these, this week's Patreon that we're about to record is already out.
Wow, so the guys know what happened before we do.
Yeah.
Well, isn't that a mind time-blowing thing?
Yeah, no, I really can't put my brain into that because I'll probably just melt on the floor. Anyway, thank you, Becca.
You're welcome. Thank you for visiting Reddit Corner with Becca.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Tatty bye.